Hello, welcome to Huntsville, a town, city, and to us it's northern Ontario. When you look at the map of the province, it's actually pretty much south. City named after Captain Hunt, who settled here. At first, Canada was the government was bringing in settlers, farmers, giving them land under condition that they will live off of it for 5 years. And you couldn't do much of that because the land is not too fertile here, being on Canadian Shield. The soil is very shallow. But the place, Captain Hunt, the city was named after him because he used his influence with the government to run a railway through the city. And the city could not live off of agriculture, but they did off of lumber. The city had a lot of lumber companies cutting down white pine that was being used to export to Europe and the United States. That ran out, of course. They over-harvested it, and the problem was you couldn't transport hardwood because it would just sink. Muskoka Wood Manufacturing Company figured out that if you debark a hardwood tree and leave it to dry for a while, it would actually float. And they were the only ones who stayed in Huntsville area. Later on, they built an integrated, whatever that means, lumberyard producing wood for airplanes, cars, those back then, furniture and flooring. Byproduct of that was hardwood bark, which would normally be a problem, but that waste is needed for tanning industry. Deerhurst Resort, built in 1896. It was the first resort in Huntsville area, and that's how the tourism started here. In 2010, heads of states stayed here during G8 conference. This is Peninsula Lake, and everything was moved by water in 19th century, and the problem between Peninsula Lake and Lake of Bays behind, in about a mile, the water level is about 130 feet. It would have been very expensive to build would have been very expensive to build a canal, so Captain Marsh came up with the idea of building a little railway connecting the North Portage to South Portage. You would come in on a ship, passengers and freight. I will stop this time, maybe. Passengers and freight would come on a ship, disembark, get onto a train. Freight would be moved on that train too. And the train would travel about a mile, where you would get off the train and get on the next ship. Now the train would come somewhere around here. You would get off the train, load onto a ship, and keep on going with your voyage. Lake of Bays. The company was named Huntsville Lake of Bays Company, Navigation Company. They're running 7 ships. And the little railway that they had was the world's smallest self-contained independent railway. The tracks have been moved to Huntsville, and you can take a pleasure trip along Muskoka River. I'm gonna go try and find it now. Hardwood production in Huntsville produced a lot of bark, and Anglo-Canadian Leather Company moved in to utilize the bark. Hardwood bark has tannin, which is used in tannery. The other British Empire's biggest shoe sole leather company. And this is where the train was moved to, the Portage train. You can take a ride along Muskoka River, the northern branch. Here goes the train. One of the 2 locomotives. Come on, wave. The Portage Flyer. They had 2 engines like this. I think this is the original one. I'm just following signs to Lion's Lookout. I've never been to Huntsville before. I don't know what that is, but sounds enticing. That's why I'm here. And I think a nice view is gonna open up. Wow. And this is Huntsville below. Nice. It's a tricky intersection full of pedestrians. Company here was the British Empire's biggest shoe sole leather producer. So if you lived in the British Empire 100 years ago, chances are your shoes or your boots had leather from Huntsville. What a lovely little town. Alright, let's go back south.